Good afternoon, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you, and thank you for watching. This is part 8 of my review of this book, There Is a God. I've been trying to go quickly through the book to save time for the viewers. And I've been just focusing on the most important points made within this book, especially those quotations that Anthony Flew has mentioned in this book, quoting scientists and scholars from various fields with regards to the points he is making in this book. We've read quotations from sayings by Albert Einstein, Charles Darwin, Stephen Hawking, and we continue in this chapter of the book where Anthony Flew talks in more detail about the first point that led him to believe in the Creator. And the first point is that this universe that we live in is governed by laws, and that those laws are comprehensible, they are intelligible, and they are measurable, and that they can be expressed in mathematical equations. They are predictable. This, to him, as a philosopher and one of the greatest minds, philosophical minds at least, of the 20th century, to him this indicated that there's a greater mind, a greater intelligence that fashioned this world according to these laws and made this universe function in accordance and in compliance with these laws. Another scientist, Paul Davies, in his Templeton Address, he says, "Science can proceed only if scientists adopt an essentially theological worldview." He also goes on to say, "Even the most atheistic scientist accepts as an act of faith the existence of law-like order in nature that is at least in part comprehensible to us." What he means by this is that for us to, or for scientists to go on to develop theories or predict results of certain experiments or predict how this universe and nature will behave at a certain point in time, and to apply this knowledge to daily life and experiments, you have to believe that there are laws and that there's an order that governs this universe. And you have to believe that this order reflects reality and that it is comprehensible to us, that it makes sense, and that it will be consistent, and that the universe will continue to behave in the same manner. Now, nothing in their empirical science and observation tells them this fact, that these laws will continue to govern the universe as they govern it today. So they have to believe in this fact, that this universe will continue to work in this same order in the future, which is totally based on faith, not based on observation or empiricism. Also, for them to trust these laws, that those laws reflect reality, this means that they have faith in the fact that this universe is telling them the truth, or at least that the maker of this universe, the Creator, is displaying to them the true facts about this universe. These are all points that are based on faith. They are not based on observation. To trust these laws, that they reflect reality, to trust that they will continue to govern this universe and that this universe will continue to function according to these laws. Nothing in their observation or in their experimental science tells them that these are facts, but they have to believe in these facts. So even the most atheistic and materialistic of science is based on a certain articles of faith. That's a very important point, because atheists criticize theists that we take things based on faith, and in reality we don't. We base our faith on science and facts, not on dogma. So we have to know that even the most atheistic and materialistic of scientists, they have to have certain faith or certain articles of faith, even when it comes to the laws that govern this universe. Then Davis draws attention to the fact that laws of nature, underlying phenomena, are not found through direct observation, but extracted through experiment and mathematical theory. He goes on to say, the laws are written in a cosmic code that scientists must crack in order to reveal the message that is nature's message, God's message. Take your choice, but not our own message. Very important. So there is a clear message in the laws of nature. A clear message that we understand, normal human beings understand, and scientists, of course, are the ones who have shown us and have extracted these laws through various experiments and various equations. They have come to understand and analyze these laws. And then we have been taught, as laymen, we have been taught these laws by scientists. So someone is giving us a message. These laws, you can express them in a mathematical equation. They tell you and describe to you a certain order and a certain regularity. So they are giving you a certain message to enable you to live this life and interact with this universe in a proper way, and to progress and advance in civilization. Who is giving us this message? It is either the universe that is giving us this message, or God. But we are not the ones who have made this message. We are not. This message is not our own. It is from an outside source. So messages can only come from a rational being. They cannot come from matter. They cannot come from atoms or subatomic particles. Messages and information can only come from a rational being. So you have to pick. Is it Mother Nature, which is this unintelligent, irrational substance and material and matter? Or is there a rational being behind all this? Paul Davis goes on to say, where do the laws of physics come from? Why is it that we have these laws instead of some other set? How is that we have a set of laws that drives featureless gases to life, to consciousness, and to intelligence? So this is basically what I was just trying to say, that the substance of the universe, the raw material of this universe, the atoms or subatomic particles, have no reason, have no mind, have no soul, have no rationality. So they cannot be the source of these laws. Someone has chosen these laws and has set this universe according to these laws, and has delivered the message to us, has made us capable of understanding the message in the first place. Because we as human beings can understand the message, but this wall behind me cannot understand this message. So someone has fashioned us and created us in such a way that we can understand the messages that He is sending to us. John Barrow, also in his Templeton Address, says or observes that the unending complexity and exquisite structure of the universe are governed by a few simple laws that are symmetrical and intelligible. In fact, they are mathematical equations. Again, the same thing that Paul Davis was saying. Another scientist and philosopher, John Foster, says in his book titled The Divine Lawmaker, he contends that the regularities in nature, however you describe them, can be best explained by a divine mind. This is the most plausible explanation. You can make up your own explanation, but what is the most plausible explanation? He says that such laws can only be explained by a divine mind. If you accept the fact that there are laws, then something must impose that regularity on the universe. What agent or agents brings this about? He contends that the theistic opinion is the only serious option as a source, so that we shall be rationally warranted in concluding that it is God, the God of the theistic account, who creates the laws by imposing the regularities on the world as regularities. Another philosopher by name of Richard Swinburne, in his book Design Defended, he says, and he is actually responding in these statements to Richard Dawkins in his critique of the argument from design. He says, what is the law of nature? This is not an issue faced by any of my critics. To say that it is a law of nature that all bodies behave in a certain way, such as attract each other in accord with a certain formula. How can we explain that? He says, and it is simpler to suppose that this uniformity arises from the action of one substance which causes them all to behave in the same way, rather than to suppose that all bodies behaving in the same uniform way is an ultimate brute fact. So when you find that every single atom in the universe behaves according to these set laws, then you have to conclude that there is one source that is imposing these laws on every single atom in the universe. Or the other explanation, which would actually not make sense, would be that each single atom has a mind of its own, and that all these atoms and subatomic particles have decided, according to their free will, to act in accordance to these fixed laws and not to disobey these laws or violate them. Of course, this explanation would make no sense to anybody. So the only plausible explanation is that there is one force, one lawmaker who has imposed these laws on this universe.